Cash and the ticket is yours. Cash and the ticket is yours. Yo. Cash and the ticket is yours. Cash and the ticket is yours. Cash and the ticket is yours. Yo. Cash and the ticket is yours. Yours. Yeah. Yeah. Memories. Memories. Memories.
Squirt's trying to find an angle, trying to find somebody out of position.
We're gonna go through on this. Oh, what a roll! They're gonna deflect. White gonna go in.
It's going to be a really, really interesting one.
Oh my god. All of this competition could be so damn close, so I cannot wait for us to finally decide who's going to be the champion. We are expecting some chaos, some great moments.
The beast mode has killed 3. Only gonna really need that rampage, so it's gonna clear it out. Santi gonna get themselves a big old 4K. Oh. Santi's getting rid of 3, clearing out the house.
That is crazy.
Nunji actually kills 3 people.
This team feels entirely different on this faster composition. Now Saga Fort is hanging around, getting onto the high ground. Post bomb's gonna stick under Leaky. They're not gonna be able to survive it at the end of the day. Blue manages to find a 3K.
Rio shoving this Ana into a corner. Woo! One more for the road for Rio.
That is all signs go. Melophobia with 3 Melophobia. Start the fight. They'll end the fight. Oh my god. Beagle Bus, they have to play aggressively into this energy. Popping off in a moment where you needed just that. Ruby in that backline. Oh, the flick. Looking for it. Oh my goodness. The 4th one as well. Do they get the ace? They get the ace.
Friday night means more CGL action on the horizon, deep in the playoffs here. A spot to grand finals on the line for one of these 2 teams. The other facing certain elimination means we got a great game ahead of us. I am, of course, Megalas. I've got Spectrion with me. And just, how you doing?
I'm doing pretty good. I was on the main Overwatch esports stream a little bit earlier via Roasting the Goat J9, so I'm feeling all puffed up and ready for some real action. Of course, it's going to be the losers bracket finals matchup between and Squirt Squad. I would go on proper pronunciation with that name, but I have a shame, unfortunately. So it's not going to happen, at least for now. Not without, a small donation towards my coffers. These teams have played before. Obviously, I believe it was 3-1 in favor of the Squirt Squad, and this time in this first of 3 format, on a slightly different meta. Maybe there's more of a chance for their opponents to be able to get their revenge.
Exactly right. Like you said, these teams did match up. It was their first round here. If we have the bracket graphic, I'm pretty sure we do. I didn't actually confirm before the show. That's why I'm saying it with a hesitant voice. It seems like we do. But yeah, so mmmfghm actually got sent to lower bracket, like you said, that in that 3-1 fashion by Squirt Squad, but they've run the gauntlet. They've clawed their way out of hell. Meanwhile, Squirt Squad just got sent down to lowers at the hands of big T-Tar fan. So, now both teams vying for that final spot in the grand finals. The loser here, unfortunately, just going to have to be good with 3rd place, but like you said, there's been some shifts in the meta. No longer the Malga being the king that he once was means that maybe there's some flexibility, some options for mmmfghm to really change their fate this time around.
Yeah, it's also worth mentioning, right, that Malga is by no means bad. If you're a strong Malga team, you can continue to play Malga. But as I'm sure people have heard me remark time and time again on the CGL streams, I don't think many teams were actually very good at Malga. So we'll have to wait and see as the meta begins to open up whether an Orisa or a Queen variant, for example, could start to take more of a hold on things. I think we saw early in some of the Face It matches, Orisa's very, very common, very, very popular, and maybe something that we can expect to see here. Take a gander at one of the teams so we can see exactly who we'll have competing here first. It's going to be Team 1, also known as And here we see the players, Ruby, Sad, Solgi, Umresi, Boosterio. Obviously, the headline player at this point has got to be Ruby, right? So many crazy clips, especially on that hit scan. And something we almost expect to see at this point. The rest of the players, though, have also made absolutely strong names for themselves. Boosterio, to me, personally, as well as Umresi. But Sad and Solgi are absolutely not to be let out of your sight either.
Exactly, and again, there's a very good squad, but on the other side of that coin, of course, you have somebody who they made it all the way through the winners finals, got a little bit smacked around, unfortunately, but Squirt Squad ready to show up and do what they can. You got Pineapple, Nuke, Bri, Zhao, and KCI here. really, these squads are probably going to be evenly matched up against each other. Like you said, what I'm looking most forward to is going to be that hit scan. Malga, there wasn't a lot of hit scan coming in, right? They were mostly forced onto the Reaper and things like that to try to help burst down these tanks. But with Orisa being in the mix more, even some Queen variants, as well as a pretty decent Sojourn buff, means that these hit scans have the potential to come back in and take over lobbies once again like they used to.
Dude, the Soj buff is crazy as well, right? I mean, I'm not sure if you've had a chance to get your mitts on it, but in my
I've been playing it.
experience, yeah, it's nuts, right? The extra 20 damage feels like it goes such a long way. Railgun feels like it does damage again, and combined with the buffs to your SMG, Soj is pretty bloody good, if I do say so myself, especially if you get some sort of pocket. With a blue beam, or even better, a nano boost and orbital ray, you will absolutely frying. You've got some one-tap ability back, especially your 1v1 into a Widowmaker. So much more comfortable. So definitely something that we can expect to see in the future, especially with hit scans of the caliber of Ruby and Pineapple in the lobby.
Exactly right. I mean, I look good on Sojourn. That's how you know Sojourn might be a little bit overtuned with this buff. But listen, we'll leave it in the hands of the professionals for this matchup here. And speaking of where we're going to be for this matchup, right, it's going to start on Lijiang Tower. It's the classic, the tried and true. We've gone over it 1.5 billion times. There's no need to reiterate. Starting out on Gardens is interesting because teams, even with the Malga, we're still finding ways to sneak these Pharah variants in and things like that. And I feel like now that we've officially broken out of it, there's a little bit more tank variants in the meta. Pharah could even be more relevant on some of these little sub-maps where she can get tons of value.
I think Pharah is actually very strong, playing some Pharah earlier, and while the buffs to Sojourn aren't fantastic for her, neither are the DPS buffs. I still think that she's in a great spot, kind of based on what tanks are being played, based on the fact that we're still not in like a hard cast meta as well. Mercy, a third hero, I think makes it quite uncomfortable. But so far, we are seeing a lack of mag. We may have broken the curse here, folks. Playing on this Orisa, Tracer, Sojourn, Squirt, Echo, Diva.
Yeah, a little bit of variance here in the tank line and those DPS, but otherwise you're going to see a lot of the same. Now it's going to be Luigi pushing forward here, trying to create space, but Bry is doing the same thing in the backline. They've now traded 1-for-1, both eliminating a DPS, and Brigitte under pressure, but the Orisa just killing 3 in the backline. This is the power of the horse reinvigorated by some lovely, lovely buffs here, and now a DMAC Diva is just going to have to sit and wait as mmmfghm gets first cap.
Yeah, normally I wouldn't mind a Genji here rather than that Tracer, but into this matchup in particular, your 1v1s are so good for Sad, and yeah, that's going to force Pineapple to swap from the Echo onto the Genji now. So the dive is going to be a little bit more consistent, a little bit stronger. In exchange, they can't poke for as long, but that works out just fine. Are always looking for this poke, always looking to extend that shooting phase, whereas Squirt needs to skip it as much as possible.
Yeah, and so that's why you're seeing the Diva go in very deep now. But again, you have Solgi just holding forward, trying to create this space where nobody else is able to follow up with the Diva. So Bry is just in the backline, currently alone for the time being, as these supports are being zoned now, having to try to fly back, get a little bit of peel on them, but it's going to cost you your mech. Now that Diva Bomb being committed as well, a little bit too far forward. Is this Orisa finally going to be taken down by the bomb on both sides of things? That's going to be the go button for Squirt Squad. They're running in here now, realizing there's a lack of tank. A beautiful pulse though from Sad. It's being turned left, right, and center here, but it seems like mmmfghm at the hands of these DPS are finding ways to stabilize. Squirt Squad gets a sneaky cap in here at the hands of the Diva, but now how long can this really last as teams are rushing back into the point?
Yeah, we'll have to wait and see. Obviously, no supports for either side means that all damage taken is essentially permanent. Nuke finds that out the hard way, but with the respawners here for both sides, the action can continue anew. The flip looks to come through for the side of but it will be contested.
Contested indeed. Now you're going to see this Orisa potentially walk forward, ready to dedicate the Terra Surge here, but it'll actually be the rally from Ready going out first here, and it's going to lead to a plethora of kills. mmmfghm doesn't need anything else to clean up this fight, and Squirt Squad are sent packing.
That they are 30% eked out isn't too bad, especially considering that your opening came from remeching onto the enemy tank. But at the end of the day, it's a very temporary percentage here. And our ult's advantage very much in favor of the defenders means that Squirt Squad going to somewhat struggle. Probably want to play for example, a Blade Ray combo here. That might be something that their opponents can't really replicate, but we'll have to wait and see.
We'll have to see as again the Orisa pushing forward, zoning supports once again, but it does not matter as Nuke has found some power into the backline, taking Ready out. Now an overclock from Ruby, trying to create space, turn the tides in this one. Hasn't come up with a kill just yet, but it's going to be a low HP break. KCI needs to live this one, and they do manage to do just that. The Diva harassing is enough here for Squirt Squad. They get a cap, but it is at the last moment.
Not quite sure what happened there. As Sad gets dispatched by gravity, but with so much time on the bank, I don't think they're too stressed. They've got 50% at least to get through before Squirt Squad are actually contesting for this point, so they can wait for their Tracer. And they also know that, they have Orbital Ray, they only need one fight.
One fight is all you need sometimes. You're seeing Sad do a little bit of poke, got a lot of work done with this Pulse Bomb, trying to do it again. And they managed to get the one onto KCI. Blade now being pulled means that both Brigidas are missing here. This Sojourn slide perfectly timed to get the Sojourn out of danger. 4v4 on the point. No Brigidas in sight. Now Nuke with a Pulse Bomb here, ready to drop it onto anybody that it needs. But already Ruby's been blown up, so Squirt Squad is at a numbers advantage. They're working even harder at it now. Sad going to be missing boost going off the map, and it seems like it's going to be a full-scale reset for mmmfghm.
Would have liked to see a faster reset there, but at the end of the day, their ult trade is fantastic, right? They trade a Pulse Bomb for a Blade Ray. Now they've got their own Ray coming through. Squirt Squad are going to really struggle with this fight. All they have to do is get in, get overtime triggered. That's the only awkward part of this engagement, because in the front-to-back fight, they've got such an advantage.
Yeah, Pulse Bomb doing some zoning things there, but like you said, that touch has to come through, and the Orbital Ray is going to ensure that now with Boostio trying to help the Orisa push forward here. Looking for people on the point to kill, but is being beautifully kited by the side of Squirt Squad, so nobody's gone down just yet. Some low HP bars, though, as everybody's trying to look for the pick. Finally, the first one onto the Tracer here. Now the Diva Bomb being dedicated, trying to get that mech on, but unfortunately, Sad's going to prevent that here. Squirt Squad holding the point, but not for much longer, as it seems like Zhao is going to be the last one standing here. Mmmfghm get the flip and get the round.
That they will. No chance for a touch. And it's a little bit labored coming through, but I think it's fair to say that it feels like have always had their hand on the rudder of how that map kind of played out. It just so happened that they weren't actually in control of the point the entire time, right? So 99-99, but in terms of the vibes, I think I know who I've got going forward. As we head onto Control Center now, I think these FDPS definitely have to be thinking about making a swap over to their Genji. It's so much more comfortable playing the Cyborg Ninja inside these enclosed spaces. Tracer can feel very, very awkward. You get spammed out, and it's really hard to back to a health pack. There aren't corners that are comfortable for you. The range, not fantastic. When you can just play Genji, you're a little bit more survivable. The defect finds more value. The ranges are more comfortable for you. I think you find much more value here, which is why we see Pineapple piloting the Genji. And Sad still goes towards a Tracer, interestingly.
Yeah, and so it'll have to be sort of that trading of backlines here. Now both Orisas just meeting each other, doing a little bit of a dance here with their fortifies. Now both teams just waiting for a cooldown to be forced early for their go button. It is just the poke back and forth here on the high ground. Finally, you're going to see Bright try to poke on the point a little bit, see if they can find anything on the low ground. Nuke on the Sojourn, feeling themselves under pressure, having to be a little bit careful here as Solgi is now backing up. The Orisa so incredibly low, catches a stun as well, but the healing is there. These backlines make everybody just so damn survivable. That's why there's no picks in this fight yet. It's almost a cap coming through from Ruby under fire. Brian is able to find that one at the cost of the point flip, so now it is going to be that 4v5 on the point here, and things are going from bad to worse for mmmfghm. Sure, you got the first cap, but it seems like you actually might be able to turn the tides here. This Orisa's looking pretty healthy. Finally, the Juno goes down, and it means you're the only one in the map here. And it's just gonna be this constant stall out on point. Piers, we love Piers on the staff team.
Do we?
I hope the sarcasm rings true as this fight's still going on. But it's just constantly going. It's constant engagement. mmmfghm never let go of the point. Now a Terror Surge coming through, trying to pull everybody in. Gonna get some solid damage onto the Sojourn, but the rally keeps everybody healthy. And somehow Squirt Squad have fumbled their chance. Now looking for another one as they've killed Sad. Now able to get the Orisa off the point as well. It's just gonna be stall maneuvers. But mmmfghm really just kind of got to stall that for 42%.
That they will Reti dispatched in the last point, but as you mentioned, 42% is not too bad at all. Gotta say, Squirt Squad not in a bad spot, all things considered, right? They probably want to go first with this Ray Blade. It has been a staple of their play. looking to get in. They can mirror most of the check marks, but in a straight up ult trade, sorry, they are going to lose out eventually. Their walk up is labored. The Ray placement kind of sucks.
Yeah, and so now it's sort of pushing and dislocating people, but Bry's going to make the best of it they can and find a dislodged Juno. Now, Solgi again falling victim here. Seems like Squirt Squad was able to find the value they needed with that Ray to get that fight.
That they were just converting and able to hold the point as well. Now they can look about what they're going to do next, but rather the better question is, how are you going to kite this Orbital Ray or Boosterio, which is staring you down the barrel?
It's going to be so crucial how they handle this. The kite ability, it needs to be immense. Blade being pulled now into the backline, trying to find one. As actually it's going to be a Juno war on the point here. Now with an overclock as well. Means both Junos have been removed, but that's the second backline member removed for Squirt Squad. Nuke evening it up once again here. Now with the Orisa dying, this should actually be the end of the fight here. mmmfghm should be able to stabilize with no healers, no tank. It makes it that much easier.
And Nuke gets staggered as well. Great late kill there being posted by Sad. I know we questioned this Tracer pick before, but it's finding huge value now. See what mmmf can do as KCI just gets dispatched by Ruby. Squirt Squad now very firmly on the back foot, and very quickly this lead is going to be eclipsed. Their ult cycles as well kind of suck. So I've got to say, probably the best what we've seen them in, you know, all control points at least.
That was a pulse bomb that had a lot of confidence behind it, but now on the point, 4v4 already at the hands of this overclock. Not able to find much else with it yet. Trying to finally connect with the Tracer Skull. Managed to do just that before being pushed out by Bry. Again, Solgi a little bit overextended, ends up paying for it. But Ruby on the Sojourn absolutely going crazy. Has found 3 in this fight and making it so mmmfghm actually has a chance. The reinforcements are here. Now with KCI missing, this Orisa has to back up because Search Squad has one more chance at it.
Yeah, it's getting really quite close here, and with Nuke and KCI both removed, it could be it. It could be over for the Squirt Squad, who will be battled back. The Terror Surge dispatches Zazo, and even though there is Bry on the cart, it's going to be the only member who goes down, at least for a little while. The Rally provides some needed sustainability, but the bash comes through to remove it, and Resi finds that stun, and Ruby finds the final blow. 2-0 here. Wipe out Squirt Squad and able to score their first here in our losers bracket final.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely gotta feel good comparing to how this match, you know, went the last time, but, you know, Squirt Squad, it feels like they made quite a few mistakes, especially on that second round, right? I mean, you think about that first fight, it gets up to 42% purely from mmmfghm getting to stall for years and years, like, just lacking that target focus, the ability to eliminate who's actually stalling out the point. It does show maybe a little bit of a lack of cohesion on that first map for Squirt Squad.
Yeah, I think it's going to be curious to see what they do next. As a reminder to the people who've forgotten, including me, the last time these two teams played, it was 3-1 in favor of Squirt Squad. And it was Squirt Squad, actually, who took Lijiang Tower 2-0. Next up, they went to Suravasa, which is the only map they lost. We'll see if this is a trend that continues, because we're already bucking the previous script, right? We're already veering away from how this matchup played in that previous. But now all we can do is wait for a map pick to come through. Remember, CGL playoffs, you can go towards anything that's in the map pool, so you have much wide open to you. You know, losing out on something that's more frontline tradey like this, maybe a dive map that's coming up next, something like a Dorado. But totally up in the air, so many options, and only Squirt Squad who know exactly what they're thinking.
Yeah, and really, I mean, it adds such an extra layer to the game when you're able to think about map and mode like that, because, you know, say, you know, there's like a bunch of hybrid maps that you're good at, that you're not really comfortable, that, you know, your opponent may be not comfortable with, right? Being able to go out of your way, pick a hybrid map just to eliminate the other hybrid maps from the pool as well. It can sort of give you that extra leg up in the series that sometimes you need, but the decision has been made. The voices have told us that we are heading on over to Blizzard World of all places.
I don't mind that, actually. I think it's a very valid choice. It's not as hard dive as you're going to see on, for example, a Dorado, but especially second point, you can find some really great success for your Winston. Also, longer sightlines do tend to favor the hit scan, especially on Blizzard World, so if you've got a strong Ashe Widow cast Sojourn player. I think it's also a great map to really let them loose. So not a bad pick at all from Squirt Squad, but we'll have to wait and see how it actually plays out, of course, in practice, because it might be that these teams just keep on mirroring Orisa all throughout it. Only time shall tell. But remember, we saw Squirt Squad start on their D.Va on Lijiang Tower, so that's probably what we expect to see throughout most of this map.
I mean, yeah, that's exactly what my mind immediately got drawn to, right? That start on the D.Va. And, you know, depending on what else gets played with it, right? I know Sojourn got some good buffs, but Ashe is still a good option to sort of control these high grounds as it hits scan. You can bring that Tracer back into the fold if you feel like it was a better look for you, just sort of kiting around looking for people. But, you know, regardless, right, if we're expecting more of the Orisa, at least from the side of mmmfghm, that's going to mean the rotations have to be on point. They can't get caught out, and they have to really be in sync with each other. And sometimes, you know, all it takes is one straggler 1 second over, and sometimes that's the dive target that needs to be eliminated over and over and over again. So these teams both have solid options here, I feel like, going into Blizzard World, but if somehow this map is a steamroll one way or another, it's very telling for what's to come in the series.
Yeah, I think it absolutely will. I think we'll have to wait and see whether this is something that's actually going to end up happening. I gotta say, Blizzard World, I'm still kind of confused by it, honestly. It's such a strange map in that, first point, it's kind of better for Winston, but you can play grounds. Second point, I really wouldn't recommend playing any sort of ground-based tanks. You're going to have a pretty terrible time. Last point, Winston's really not good, right? Your dive tanks really aren't that strong here. It ends up being much more frontline trading, so you are forced to mirror an Orisa or go towards a Queen, a Malga, you know, some of those dive tanks we haven't really seen be played. D.Va mirror makes sense. DPS, lack of a Widowmaker also makes sense, but it is lacks a certain amount of greed I somewhat like to see from teams. Squirt Squad playing this Genji Ashe setup means that they've got lots of consistent damage, but these actual dives will be very, very weak. So they're playing more for angles, playing more for poke, playing more to find somebody and exploit their mistake than forcing themselves onto the backline. With the Tracer Echo are going to struggle somewhat, but they will have that stronger dive like I spoke about earlier.
Yeah, and I feel like the stronger dive is going to be so much more important for the attack, right? Just to be able to be that initiating factor for teams to go. But we'll have to see how Squirt Squad wants to hold this, as it's just the D.Va currently on that forward high ground. Everybody else set up way in the back next to the point here, which means it'll be a while before we really see Nuke start to lay in the damage on this Ashe character. Just going to be some heals back and forth. Finally, a Dynamite chucked in. Get some solid burn damage onto the D.Va, but not much else to their name right now. From high ground's already been given up. You see the push from Solji pushing in here is going to cost them their mech because nobody else is really in position to follow up, but they have good positioning on the point. But without a D.Va mech, there's a chance to re-engage. Already one tick given over, and Nuke actually has found one onto the backline here with that beautiful dynamite placement, and now just giving up one tick is all Squirt Squad needed to stabilize.
I gotta say, this is why I'm not a crazy fan of this DPS line here. You have no real way of forcing the hit scans off the angle, right? So we see when Sulky flies in, they're down to half HP before they actually have a chance to start shooting anybody. Really not what you love to see. The only other use case, or I guess method in, is burning all your DM before you fight, but then you're a sitting duck whilst you're in, which is why we see Sad now on that Ashe. This should be more comfortable.
Should be more comfortable, but the shots do have to connect here. We're back on point. Both Divas trying to look for an initiation potential, but it's going to be Bri just flying back, wanting to be stable and safe on the point for the time being. Now, again, finally, that high ground purchase has been found since the D.Va was not there. Going to cost the mech once again for Solgi, but the two picks have already come through. Squirt Squad is going to have to back up for the time being, and with Pineapple going down as well, the re-engaged on the first point is non-existent, and that'll be the payload starting to move.
That's a pretty strong cap on all things considered. Remember, almost 5 minutes on that time bank. Only took them fight and an adaptation to crack the code there. It seems like Sad on the Ashe is indeed the comfort pick that we were kind of looking for. And right now, if you're really just looking to take control of the turret and, you know, challenge somewhat for high ground. You can't clear it out, not while your backline is still rotating the cart in. But so much pressure, Salty demexed early, not what you want to see.
I mean, yeah, this mech still missing here is allowing Bri to really go forward. Like, you see that pick onto the Ashe, following it up with another one onto Lucio. Is going to cost the D.Va bomb here for a remech potential to come in. But Squirt Squad, they get to stabilize on this defense in a very comfortable way. And again, just even more picks coming through. I mean, mmmfghm, they really have to go for a full reset.
And one thing we can expect to see is Pineapple on this Genji contributing to the tank trade for Squirt Squad far more than their counterpart. So in terms of the Diva value, Solg is going to really have to step up.
Diva Bomb thrown in. It seems like a little bit aggressively. It
What?
actually finds Pineapple. You know, aggro Diva Bombs are very rare nowadays, but when they come through, they're very interesting to see. Recall already forced out now as the defenders are starting to be forced back. Tons of tools to work with, so this fight certainly not done yet, but both sides waiting to see what the investment will be first. The Bob coming out from Sad here, trying to follow up, get some good damage on this high ground, but it's just going to be a full-scale retreat that's not allowed to happen. KCI goes down, Nuke soon to follow here. Good follow-up for mmmfghm, and now the rally's being popped to chase this even further. Not sure if this is something that they fully intended to do, but meanwhile, it's just going to send the rest of Squirt Squad barreling into point C.
I'm not sure about that choice, because there's going to be a recontest from Squirt Squad, who are going to have quite significant ult advantage here. You're kind of forced to back on a pulse bomb from Ruby, who, sticks it!
Ooh. The pulse bomb from downtown, it feels like, for that one. Gets that stick beautifully. Now, Orbital Rays dueling on the point here. Bob and Blade both being popped and thrown out here. It's tons of damage for the side of Squirt Squad, and they dump everything in. Pineapple ends up paying for their life for it, but they will get able to stop the defense.
Yeah, and that is, again, off the back of the ult advantage that they have going in. They just press more Qs in their opposition, and they get control. Next fight as well, not too bad for them. They can use the rally to probably just take up a hard brawl fight onto the enemy Diva or the backline if you can catch it. The one after that is what I'm beginning to worry about.
Exactly, so that's going to be something to keep in mind. This ult economy, it's going to get rough, and it's just going to get more and more rough as we go. Squirt Squad now still in this defensive positioning. It's going to be the rally forced early from KCI, dropped low. Going to have to hold that shield up for at least a little bit here, but the health bars from mmmfghm dropping so incredibly low. Sad managed to find one onto Pineapple here at the cost of the Diva Mech. So the effective 4v4 here on point now, with the bomb coming out from Bry, trying to keep everybody zoned away, and now the rest of the Squirt Squad is coming alive. They're getting the picks they need to. KCI does end up going down. Not sure how that happens in the Brig trade here, but still with the baby Diva means mmmfghm are going to have to wait.
That they will, yeah. Dispatched. As we kind of saw there, we trade out on the hard brawl fight with Diva Mech via the Genji, but it turns out Diva Mech is really quite valuable, so a positive trade found from the defensive side. They're able to wipe out their opposition off the back of that positive trade, that advantage, and now they're set up in the defense. As I said, though, this is where I'm really worried, right? Because no check marks at all for Squirt Squad. This fight win, if they find it, is going to be entirely dry.
Yeah, incredibly difficult. That Bob being chucked in now, trying to find some good damage on the high ground here, means nobody can peek into it. Defense Matrix now having to be used from Bry, who drops a very low. Now a beautiful stick finds the backline again. Ruby just seems to be the difference maker so far. A D-Mech onto the Diva, the cherry on top of this cake, and finally point B should be capped here after they get rid of these stragglers.
Indeed. That's one way to crack this nut open. Spend pretty heavily, but all they needed was a pulse bomb into the backline. Both backliners get absolutely exploded. 2.5 minutes, or 2 minutes and a quarter, sorry, on that time bank. Ruby back onto the one track, back onto that Widowmaker. Double hit scan setup, not what you expect to see here.
No, and it's going to make it so Bry is living a very long time, as Solgi is going to opt to go off the map. A beautiful headshot, but it's onto a Diva, so it's not going to come through with a kill. And now Zhao just going to clean up the fight here, and Squirt Squad's defense is back in control.
Very forward positioning here from Bry, especially considering they have an Orisa and a rally. We'll have to wait and see if this Diva can back in time as the push out comes on this more pokey comp.
Yeah, I mean, we know it, the brawl is just so much better here. And there's the Widowmaker doing what she does best. Ruby able to get that pick. Now the Dragon Blade being pulled, trying to remove the Widow from the fight. Does manage to do it. Dashes back to the Orbital Ray for safety here. 4v4 on the point. But it's quickly diminishing in favor of Squirt Squad. They're getting pick after pick in this fight. Now just the Brig left standing, finally going to go down. And now with only a minute left, mmmfghm have to work it out.
Great use of the Orbital Ray there to punish the consolidation of mmmf as they walk forward. Without the ultimate, though, they've got to build a fight around the rally, and they found success there before, but equally it's been shut down.
It's something you have to be very wary of. The D.Va trying to find some extra damage to go on the back line. Drops low, has to back up. Now the Infrasite's available for Ruby, trying to find that one head in the fight. KCI will be the first one to fall here, and there's the pound of flesh that you expect from the Widowmaker. Now trying to set up for angles as everybody else on the side of Squirt Squad just gonna wait and spawn for the full reset.
That they will. And remember, that was your Brigitte going down. That's your only ultimate. So nukes on the Widowmaker to mirror out Ruby. Very bold here on these last sidelines. And now we've got to fight over the end of the map. One fight to decide it all.
One fight can just change the fate of everything. The Bob gonna go in as Ruby's the first one taken out here. So now mmmfghm fighting short-handed. I have to make it over to the payload here to get their overtime going, and Nuke removing Sad as well means that there's no DPS in this fight. A Terra Surge, a very desperate act here, does manage to come up with one, but there's got to be more damage done. Boostio able to get a pick, but the Orisa's not touching card. Now it's just going to be the Judo, the last one standing, and mmmfghm will not get all the way there. Squirt Squad, they have a chance to get a better cap.
Yeah, Squirt Squad have obviously been able to find the stop, but at the end of the day, I would argue this push is probably past par for Blizzard World. This is a fantastic amount of progress here, and while they would have loved to get the full cap in with time remaining as well for then at the end of the day, it's not all that realistic, and so I think they'll absolutely take what they've earned. Squirt Squad now know where the buck's got to stop, but as I mentioned, it's a downside further than what they would have realistically liked. Oh wow, that's a
Mara special right there.
I was not expecting that. I was not prepared. It's too many lines for Overwatch. It's not like I don't want to use the word cell shaded, but cartoonish enough. You know, it's not a cartoonish enough face. I wasn't expecting that.
Yeah, very real. Seeing the wrinkle, like smile lines and things like that, it just absolutely throws you off. But
makes you think about aging.
We doing this again?
We're doing this again.
Doing this again? Listen, if I had a nickel for every time I was called old, I could retire. But we'll get there. These teams, they're making it interesting, right? Especially like Nuke having the confidence to be like, yeah, I'll mirror Ruby on the Widow. That's not something you see from every hit scan player. But now Ruby had, like you said, you wanted the confidence of a Widow to start on it, right?
Oh yeah, absolutely. So we kind of see it in the end, and this time, as you mentioned, Nuke going to be starting on it. Ruby isn't, so we'll have to wait and see whether they prefer the Sojourn, which in my opinion is an easier 1v1, or whether we'll see the swap over to the counter Widowmaker once, or if they get taken down. Just clearing space right now, our Squirt Squad is going to be incredibly difficult to stage a dive onto this Widowmaker, right? That DM could be on the head in an instant.
Yeah, but currently it seems like the dive target is the D.Va. Solgi has been found time and time again, and that mech gonna be lost for what feels like the billionth time this match. And now Nuke finds one onto Sad as well. A low HP Sojourn should be cleaned up here. The healing is in there in time though, and there is some stall on the point, but you're already missing a D.Va mech. You're missing your break now, and it's just going to get more and more difficult here. Squirt Squad, they seem to be fast tracked for a cap.
Yeah, Bustorio as well, very likely to be removed. Indeed will be. Ruby fights a trade, but Ruby will be traded. And a cap in better time. Actually, then coming through from Squirt Squad, an extra 45 seconds and change. And this time actually with their D.Va, you know, still in mech, they should be able to take that space. Solgi could go down here, but the same could be said of Nuke as they just begin blasting over turret.
Yep, and this turret, it's so crucial, right? It provides high ground and spacing for this first initial defense, and you'd love to be able to have it for both attackers and defenders alike. Now, Bri flying up, trying to hold the space, is going to be pooped down as now both Widowmakers looking for angles, trying to find something way far in the back line here. Being, you know, painfully aware of each other, but nobody really peeking anything. It's just for the time being now. It seems like the dive has come through. Sogi a little bit too deep again. I feel like every single time I've seen this D.Va, it's just overextended and demech. Absolutely tragic to see here, as now it is going to be the payload starting to move here. You're seeing Sad try to turn tides, get some pressure onto KCI, but they're not going to come up with the elimination. It's going to go the other way with Ruby and Reddy going down here, and I mean, the defense is just crumbling.
Yeah, and some great staggers coming through as well, of course. Oh, Sad's going to get caught here. Sad's going to get dispatched, surely. Get away from me, our pulse bomb comes through. But surviving on 2 HP, now 0, means that if they want to try for this recontest, are going to be 4.
going to be 4, and now that you're on the Widow, right, you're lacking so much damage here. The Emphasized also up for Nuke is giving everybody a painfully aware image of where they are. Rallies being popped back and forth, trying to keep people alive. Nuke, unfortunately, cannot live under the barrage of damage. Still not done with this is Squirt Squad, where the Blade Orbital is going to come out, but it seems like it's the support line coming up with these massive picks here. Now it is just the Baby Diva that's going to be the last thing standing to stop this payload. And with 5 minutes and 20 seconds, all they have to do is get most of the way through C.
5 minutes is a gargantuan time bank, not something you see every day. I'll call it like that. Squirt Squad have put themselves in prime position to take this map. All they're going to do is win a fight and 2/3 here, realistically. It looks like they'll be able to get first corner, essentially for free. Having the nade and the orbital ray both gives them great tools into this next fight, but once the Squirt Squad ult cycles come online, as indeed they will, then what will Oomph do?
Widowmaker's sights being popped by Ruby, but it's going to be Nuke finding the first headshot onto Boostio. Now, with the Juno removed, you're seeing Solgi again, the health bar dropping lower and lower.
Oh, no.
And things are going from bad to worse for mmmfghm, as all of them are missing. Somebody's going to have to get out to stop this payload.
I think they'll be able to get a touch. I'm not sure if they will, actually. Boost Euro doesn't want to swap because they've got Ray. Everybody else, I mean, they're too late. 3 meters to go. Ray pops. Finally, someone's on the cart.
Yep, the Ray is there, but we'll have to see if it's enough. Now, do be careful. You have to stay on that cart, Orisa, whether you're aware of it or not. The Diva D-Mech comes through, but the bomb is there, potentially to get Bri back in mech.
Oh, what a spear.
Oh, that can cancel. What a beautiful spear, like you said, and now Solgi is getting healed up in time here. A beautiful wall placement, but the DPS are coming alive. Nuke with 2 in the fight, looking for a 3rd. And get this absolutely massive Widowmaker performance to get Squirt Squad over the line and tie us up 1 apiece.
Crazy amounts of work being put out by that Widowmaker there. Didn't need to close out in that fashion, remember. They've still got like 3 minutes on that time bank, but here, I believe we can see exactly how they did it, because it's a mechanical masterclass from the Squirt Squad to find this victory, to take it home. Okay, that's just insane. Great shots coming through. First one, second one, lovely, jubbly, and onto that May as well. Jumping against the Widowmaker is just a death sentence. Some fantastic work coming through from the Squirt Squad to tie this series up. And remember, 3-1 last time they played, could be 3-1 again. We're going to go to a short break. When we're back, the continuation of our losers bracket final.
crazy, Malin. I'm not crazy, Malin. I've just been in a very bad mood for 40 years. 40 years.
Two maps down has us tied 1 apiece here in the mmmfghm versus Squirt Squad rematch again for that trip to the grand finals on the line here. And, you know, so far it's been pretty interesting. Both teams having a dominant map so far. Not extremely dominant, but just enough that you think, damn, they're pretty good at what they're doing.
We've lost Megalast. You can hear her voice.
gone?
Just here is like a oh, there we go. There we go.
I'm literally like, I did nothing. That's good. I'm not taking blame for that. That's all I'm saying.
Remember, if you want anyone to blame, it's going to be Echo_20. It's all her fault, as every single production issue we've ever seen on CGL is her fault. Let's get that out there.
Yeah, I mean, that's listen, that's bold to call that out when we have Echo Bloodlust in the VC with us right now. But
what's she gonna do? Kill me?
you know, we could discuss what happens to that later. We can move on in this series. Like we said, what a piece. Very intense, very back and forth. And if I'm not mistaken, the little voice in our ear whispered saying that we're going to clash for map number 3.
Hanaoka, I believe, as indeed as we can see behind us, right? It's going to
true.
be pretty much the opposite of what we saw in the previous, right? You play short range, front lane trady comps, you might as well play Malga, because front loading all that damage is going to find you a lot more success. And if you want to find success playing Diva or Widowmaker, you aren't going to, because the sightlines really suck for those heroes. It's as simple as that. So in terms of what we expect to see, imagine it being much closer to what we were treated to on Lijiang Tower, especially Control Center. Orisa Mirror seems very, very likely here. Of course, we're still playing Juno Brig. That backline's still overpowered as hell, considering Blizzard decided to give Brig a slap on the wrist and leave Juno totally untouched. You know, not to go on my one of my rants again, but I've been complaining for 3 months about Juno being the most powerful thing since Jesus Christ, and they decide to, for once, not act like the Romans.
No, listen, I agree with the rant. I'm here for it, right? We got time. We're not in game yet. Like, the last patch note that we got about Juno, right? They openly said in the dev comment, hey, Juno's been an oppressive, meta-heavy character for months. And then they don't nerf her.
Yeah.
That, like, the fact that Juno escaped without nerfs tells me that little Timmy down in Silver can't figure out Juno. He doesn't understand what's going on in the hero.
With respect, like, Juno surely is like playable in Silver because all you do is you heal and you press the instant win button.
I don't know. Like, that's my only logical conclusion is, like, little Timmy down in Silver, he's just playing Lifeweaver all day. He thinks Lifeweaver's the best thing ever and just doesn't understand what a Juno can do.
Like,
and so they're like, oh, you know, Juno's play rates or win rate's only like 20% in Silver, so she must be fine.
So two things. Firstly, did you see that beef recently on Twitter? Somebody saying Lifeweaver is one of the most meta backlines. I just thought that was funny.
Listen, that was...
that was so good.
I've said some Silver takes in my life. That's a Silver take.
And secondly, my personal theory is that with the changes to the DPS passive coming through, they didn't want to blanket nerf all supports because they were, you know, seeing how it would affect the overall meta. You know, now they've seen that nothing will change. I pray for the mid-season patch. If this mid-season patch isn't good, I will run out of hopium to huff, and I will start going slightly insane.
Nah, see, you're too optimistic. Waiting for mid-season, I am in Alec Dawson's DMs on the daily, begging and pleading, just for a hot fix. Just like, give me something. Get like the Lucio. No, absolutely not. I'm a nobody. But like, you know, it's the Lucio players. They want to be free. They're tired of it. Everyone's like, why does she get to have fun? But Orbital Ray, it's strong. It does what it needs to. You have a Brig there, sort of your backline protection. Like, the reason you know, the reason it's so powerful is just because it does so much healing, creates these super long fights as you've seen on the cast here, and probably going to see more of the same. But Squirt Squad, they're not opting into the Orisa potentially.
I think that this is going to be really hard for Bri to actually find value off of this D.Va, right? Yeah, your defense matrix is really good, but it's not a long enough window for Squirt Squad to kill, and once you lose the defense matrix, you're essentially 700 HP of free ult charge for your opposition. See how this is going to work out, as we can see, don't have to worry about the D.Va damage as they just stroll down main.
Just walking down mid, indeed here, the space being taken over and over again, this high ground. Now you're seeing Bri try to re-dive onto it here, but Solgi is going to be able to find this D.Va in the backline. The max so incredibly low, does manage to kill Reddy out, so that Brigitte missing means a large source of the healing is gone. Pineapple is going to be taken down in return here by the Juno of all people. Now this Juno, being the only support alive, is definitely feeling the pressure of this D.Va full force here. Bri going to need their backline to do any and everything they can to keep them alive in this fight, and they're doing just that. That health bar slowly but surely ticking back into the positive side of things, and going to allow Squirt Squad to look for another re-engage here. But instead, the Orisa's now in the backline, a little bit too far, you might say. The defense matrix trying to stop some of the healing, but it's not enough. Now it finally comes through. The Reaper from Sad, an interesting pick here, but it is going to finally get the D-Mech onto the D.Va. The full cap has already almost come through from mmmfghm, and it seems like they're just going to get it for free without any other picks.
Yeah, so the map type of Clash forces you to brawl pretty much every single fight you take, right? But D.Va is kind of a jack of all trades, right? She's good at poke into non-poke tanks, she's good at brawl into non-brawl tanks. But if you try and brawl with a brawl tank, you're going to have your day ruined. Exactly what we see here. Going to be starting on point B for free. They're going to have the sightlines for it, and their ults as well, going to be closer. They can match orbital rays, and then God knows what's going to happen.
Exactly, we'll just have to wait and see. Both teams trying to find their opening in this fight, but Squirt Squad's health bar is looking worse for where they'll rip that orbital ray first, like you mentioned, now being mirrored by Boostio. Beautiful Terra Surge, pulling everybody into its range, gonna get the D-Mech onto Bri, who then also pays for it in the baby form with their life. Now just more and more ult percentage here as the rest of Squirt Squad scared to re-engage without their tank, and again, they just give it up for free just from the one pick alone.
Nothing you can really do at that point. They can fast fight now onto point A, and you know they don't have an orbital rate. This is going to be a lot harder, but there's still a chance for the triple cap here. We'll see if they fight for it.
I mean, it depends on how much both squads are willing to invest here to make sure this triple cap does or does not happen. Like you said, we also finally have that Orisa mirror. Bri realizing the D.Va's just not going to work here. And so now everybody under fire, looking for some openings here. Potentially the Sojourners could open it up with a beautiful railgun. It is going to be sort of a time lapel situation. Oh, but Solgi so incredibly low. The rally's being popped. We're trying to heal the Orisa. We managed to get some good healing through, but now KCI has killed Reddy in the backline with the other support going down. It seems like mmmfghm is going to have to just be happy with going back to B.
They've still got 2 ticks, though. They aren't going to be too upset about finding really nothing there, right? Because in terms of the check marks you spent, the blade for the rally, not too bad at all. Pineapple on the Mei, right? Obviously on this Orisa now. I feel like this is the choice. You have wall win cons now. They're moving towards something that's a lot more playable here.
Yeah, the overall brawl now, it's actually going to be an overclock opening it for Ruby here, jumping on the high ground, looking to put in some of these rails. Does not actually manage to connect before finally pushed off of the high ground. Now a railgun on the other side. Nuke coming up the better here, already taking Boostio out of the fight, looking for a second, but Pineapple will actually finish that one off. But the area slowly but surely being cleared here. Does manage to come up with 2, but more work has to be done from Sad if they want to win this one out. Unfortunately, the Javelin spin is going to make that nigh impossible here, and Squirt Squad have tied us back up at 2 points apiece.
Yeah, that they will. A recontest would be possible, but incredibly ill-advised for so instead they're going to be able to fight the choke point here on point C, back at their central. But Squirt Squad with significant ult advantage needs to take a fast fight here. They don't want to give Solgi and Boostorio time to charge into their check marks.
Yeah, and so that's going to be the name of the game here. These beautiful, beautiful ultimates can come online. Somebody can be the difference maker here. And now the high ground being taken. Bri is taking a lot of poke up here, though. Has to be careful. Solgi potentially trying to climb these stairs to meet the Orisa, but realizing it's just safer to play on the objective. Now Nuke looking for a bit of an off angle on this Sojourn. Going to be contested by Ruby for the time being, as it is still just back and forth. But Solgi does manage to find one onto Nuke here. Now this Orisa wasting cooldowns. The the Terror Surge is going to come out to try to keep them knife and survivable, as well as, you know, support ultimates out the wazoo. Everybody's clicking Q. We'll have to see who comes out the better from it. Zhao going to be the first one taking down that rallying brig. KCI not going to have enough health to weather the storm here. And it seems like mmmfghm have finally got their momentum back.
And we don't fight fast enough for Squirt Squad. They somewhat try and force it, but instead, you know, being able to mirror things out obviously means that Squirt Squad go down. The matching raids don't provide any side of an advantage, and a lead now for again, established battle over B has gone both ways in the past. We'll see how it goes in the third time out.
Solgi, again, just a little bit overextended here. That Orisa going to be missing. Now looking for more kills is Bry, who managed to get ready before their own life is taken here. It seems like they're going to have to be a last-second retouch, if at all, for mmmfghm.
Indeed. So we're going to be going again, 2.C, a late kill onto Boosterio. Actually pretty large here. Let's see if they can find any more, as the team looks to recontest, actually.
I mean, yeah, the one-moment recontest is going to cost Sad their life here. Now in overclock being popped from Ruby, trying to turn the tides, but there's so few members, you can't give up any point progress at this point. It seems like that was an overclock pop in vain, if nothing else. You do get one onto Nuke, but with no Orisa here to try to help you contest out the point, yeah, we're just going back to C.
Yeah, and with these really late kills as well coming through from this recontest, then it means that it's going to be Squirt Squad, not who actually get to start their first bit of an ill-advised attempt. Oh, what a wall, but oh, what a shot! Ruby just absolutely ganks, Pineapple, who is in a great spot to convert onto the Sojourn. And what would have been an advantage for Squirt Squad? I mean, now you gotta wait for your May.
Yeah, I mean, the May missing, the brig barely getting out here, but the point pressure not fully there yet, right, from mmmfghm. Now they are pushing forward, trying to see if they can capitalize, get more kills, ultimately realizing that's not going to be the case. They are just fully retreating here, which is going to allow Squirt Squad to start walk back in, their own overclock being popped here, but that's going to be the first one at the hands of an Icicle here. Now that brig caught with a spear in the rally means that Unready's rally is ultimately going to go to waste. We're even on the pointy straights, coming through back and forth, trying to be a difference maker. And it is Ruby who's found two in the fight, looking for a third, but that orbital ray keeping everybody nice and healthy. Now Ruby needs to be the one kept up here, so incredibly low, but Pride can't get the job done. Ruby with 3 in the fight manages to keep mmmfghm in the lead.
Yeah, just a huge work on that Sojourn time and time again. Without those railguns, then there's no way that Squirt Squad don't convert. Nuke, I think, just hasn't been having that same amount of influence on that server, and I think Ruby absolutely makes up for the flubbed overclock in that previous battle.
And yeah, so now we're heading into it, potentially the last point here. Tons of ultimates to work with for both squads here. But Squirt Squad, obviously, they know they're working at a deficit and they've got to get something done. Overclock being popped early from Ruby. These haven't been that impactful, but the railguns can definitely change at a moment's notice here. That Sojourn is so incredibly low, but Nuke manages to live for the time being. Now an orbital ray being popped, but it does not get to Solgi in time. And a beautiful freeze as well means the Brigida is going to be missing. So Squirt Squad, they seem to have weathered the storm. They've gotten some solid picks. Just need to get some cleanup here on the point to send us to that final capture point, which will be in the center on C.
I feel like if you're in best case scenario here, we're just bleeding ults out of your opposition and then winning this next fight. Because now, even though Bry has overextended a smidgen, a lot actually, needs the Terror Surge to stay active.
Yeah, I mean, the Terror Surge just stay alive because you don't want to risk the recontest coming through onto this point B, right? You'd rather just be able to fight it out on C. So now we're heading into that final fight that's going to kick off here. Neither team has anything to their name.
You gotta play for the Zazo race, surely. That's Squirt Squad's best ticket to victory. And for they've got some more getting a little bit closer, but nothing of that same amount of value, nothing that close. I imagine Squirt's going to start the walk about now as the ultimate's now charged. They need to take a brawl fight onto Solgi as fast as possible.
That's what they're looking for, that orbital ray committed, now trying to clear out this right side of the point. They're able to do just that. There's going to be firing back and forth here. The health bars go incredibly low. Now going to be the rally as well. They haven't come up with any kills. Finally, it's going to be Sad going down here. This rally being fully dedicated, trying to keep the Orisa alive. But Nuke and the rest of the squad is coming up massively here. They're finally finding the eliminations late into the fight. And mmmfghm might not even get another touch.
I think they will, but I think it will suck. Right? There's going to be the Nuke Overclock online. KCI also going to have a rag to fight this off. Will have decent tools of their own, but the defender slightly out of touch.
I mean, the beautiful Maywall right there, right? We saw the Reaper Wraith come out. Obviously, the safest way to touch, just get a tap in and out. But unfortunately, the May was able to know which side that Reaper was trying to come through and just put the wall directly in their face. Nowhere to go, nowhere to get the point. Now means that Squirt Squad are one map away from a repeat scoreline that sends them to the grand finals.
And, you know, I hate to take away from their accomplishment at all, but they do the entire thing just fighting on their back foot, right? Fighting on their own side of the map. At the end of the day, though, they are the ones who are able to take it and, you know, clutch out that final battle there on point C for the third time. You know, just coming into that fight, having the Ray is such a huge advantage. I got, you know, really worried there. I'm sure we all heard about how they almost didn't find a kill all throughout the orbital ray. Yeah, they got HP. Yeah, they forced space. But when you have an orbital ray, and also of that value, then you need to kill. You need to be finding eliminations every damn time, and they get the necessary one. And by the time it's expired, they've got other check marks then coming online. They're able to, you know, eke it over the line. Obviously, it's going to be the pick of once again. They're going to be battling against, as you mentioned, Megalus, having that repeat scoreline. Let's see what they can do next. As still in, I believe we have Push as well as Escort. Yeah, you're right.
And you know, it's one of those things where the mmmfghm, they came into this with a lot of energy, right? We saw that Lijiang Tower, but it's slowly been depleting out of them. Like, even in that map, right? They started off so strong, but then they just allowed fights to slip away. They overinvested, overcommitted. And, you know, that might even be a sign of desperation right there, right? It's one of those things where you're just so desperate to win, you just start chucking things at the wall, you get a little bit chaotic. And now, I mean, like you said, it could be weighing in the back of your mind. Squirt Squad, they beat you in this same way before. It's why you're in the lower bracket. It really is one of those things you got to take a deep breath, have a good mental bounce back to be ready. And, you know, speaking of, you know, mental, potentially some peace and tranquility could come out here as we are headed to the monastery.
I think that's curious, but, you know, fair enough. I kind of see the vision here. Squirt Squad, want to take it again towards something that is more brawly, is more frontline trading. They know that it was incredibly close on Hanaoka. I think somewhat getting shot in the foot by how the map is going to work. Shambali, none of that shenaniganery gonna happen there. Instead, just long sight lines for Ruby to go frag. And no flags, realistically, so it's just going to be down to how you play that macro. I think this is probably the best pick they could have gone towards. This or like a Colosseo, I want to say. But I think it's a great... Yeah.
Well, no, like... I think it's a double-pronged pick we were talking about earlier, right? Because by picking Shambali, you eliminate the other escort maps. Because could you have gone to push, like you were saying with Colosseo? Absolutely. If you win, but then you would give Squirt Squad pick over all of the escort maps. And chances are they could go somewhere where that Diva, that Sojourn can get a little bit more value. Because Ruby, you know, while we know Ruby is this great hit scan, Nuke has been the difference maker on this server today. So it's been a very, very interesting affair here, to be sure. But like I said, going into Shambali, you know, being able to, if you're able to win here, then forcing your opponent to pick from the push maps, which maybe you're more comfortable on those in general, that could have been the strategy at play. Who knows?
Yeah, I do think, for what it's worth, you are right. I think all the push maps are kind of more the same, and as we all know, we're going to end on Runasapi, no matter kind of what happens. But I think that, you know, like I said, you're also correct, where, you know, if we did go to, for example, a Dorado after this, then I think would be a lot more worried. They would have, again, Ruby on those comfort picks, but the rest of the team don't seem as comfortable maneuvering in 3 dimensions, as it were, so sticking on something that's, again, pretty flat, pretty linear, here is a very, very reasonable decision. Incidentally, this is the same map that we saw Gas Tier 3 get their reverse sweep finished upon earlier, so it's got a certain amount of comeback aura now injected in, at least in my mind. So we'll have to wait and see if that carries through into whether they're watching those Face It games earlier and whether they have been, you know, inspired enough to find some success.
Yeah, sometimes you just need that little bit of inspiration to get you over the finish line here. But yeah, as we are just sort of waiting for everything to get loaded, go into map, like you're talking about, like there's just so many, you know, extra little things You know, honestly, let's just go back to ranting about Juno. Let's
True.
complain about Juno. Like, I could complain about Juno all day. Like, listen, Lucio speed boost, honest. You know what I mean? A very honest amp. You know, he's putting out music, doing what he can. Martian space technology to put out a ring that Juno doesn't even have to walk through the ring, by the way. She just gets speed up for clicking the button. And then the ring is also there for anybody else after the fact. Like, that...
I can't lie. I don't even beef with the ring. I think that to change Juno, firstly, she can be 200 HP to fix the survivability issue because she's stupid and hard to hit. And then nerf the healing by, like, I don't know, 5-10%. Nerf the ultimate by nerfing both the damage and the healing, and then we're good. Then we're Gucci. Maybe even make it charge faster, I don't care. But it needs to be not an instant win button. Because right now, the fact that with Juno ult, you are likely to win a 4v5, it's not okay. It's really not okay.
Like, imagine if back in the day, right, they told you that Zen Transcendence applied Discord to all the enemies that were in it. People would lose their minds. They'd be like, that's overpowered.
Oh,
but,
yeah.
I mean, it's literally, it's a damage boost, it's a heal, it's, you know, you get any and everything you want in it. You normally have speed ring up during it as well, so you're moving fast as well. Like, Juno is just the whole package and everything more. Has anyone ever actually done anything with this Hanzo shot, or is it just something that everybody goes for in hopes that it'll pop off one day?
It would be really sick though.
It would be kind of cool.
I feel like so many things in Overwatch you should be able to justify by saying it would be really sick though. You know, like well, I can't think of an example off the top of my head, but we'll have to wait and see if we get another example here as a Squirt move out. D.Va here, very curious from Bri Bratino. See if it is actually going to find any success or whether they're going to try and brawl and die.
I think it's going to be so crucial with the D.Va that you basically ignore the Orisa. You're trying to work past her, but we'll have to see if that's the game plan. As Nuke just delivers one directly into Ruby's skull, and that's going to crack this defense wide open here. Busio now the next to fall as Bri able to get in, trying to be pressured back by this Orisa, but Solgi does not have enough HP to keep that contest for long, and the payload's just going to keep moving.
That it will. That's a fantastic first fight coming through. Like I said, I was somewhat worried about the D.Va in the frontline trade, but able to find the space necessary. And do have very strong defender sightlines here, but the fact that they can't actually squeeze the 3 fights that teams normally do out of this point is already not a great start for them.
Not how you want to start at all. So now looking into this fight, the D.Va just contesting high ground, making it harder and harder for anybody to actually get a peek out here. Those who do have to worry about this rail from Nuke, which is just being held, looking for something in the backline. The D.Va defense matrix is just making it a little bit difficult here. As now the D.Va's been mirrored. Pineapple does find one onto Sad, though. That Tracer presence is going to be missing massively here. Trying to find the backline, is able to get onto Ruby here, but some break packs are going to keep this Sojourn alive for the time being, but Bri has killed Solgi in the backline, so while Ruby is killing Pineapple, the point just being capped, and Squirt Squad are just unstoppable.
That they are. I mean, the snowball is so much in their favor. They are just rolling over their opposition. Look at these stagger kills. Sad the last to go down by the looks of things is Bustorio lives on a whim and a prayer. But in terms of what we can speak about, right, Squirt are ahead. They've a small lead on the ultimates, most notably at 25% on the Juno ults. Sad moves over to the Genji. They're full matching the enemy composition, hoping that it's the comp that's got the secret sauce, not the players.
I mean, yeah, but I do like the Genji over the Tracer, right? You're able to do much more. It feels like the Tracer's just a little bit too frail and squishy these days. Now it is already this corner being contested. The one that we know most on Shambali here can get some good defenses. Orbital Ray going to come out first from Zhao. It is going to be mirrored by a rally, and now the Orbital Ray incredibly late, but Nuke has already found one onto that rallying Brigitte, so it might be just a little bit too late. D.Va Bomb comes through, does the damage it needs to, as Ruby now trying to hide, find one onto the enemy D.Va, as KCI is just cleaning it up on the Brigitte, getting kill after kill here, making it more and more difficult for this defense to really find a way to stabilize. Bri takes down Ruby. There's no bomb this time for Solgi, and it seems like that's going to be point B capped as well.
So Squirt not only obviously win out that fight with only getting a momentary stop, right, but they get a positive ult trade off the back of it. They've still got Rally Blade. Still got Rally Blade, and they've got a 5-minute time back. Megalast, we could be on track for a time back that I can only describe as generational rubies and the Panic Widowmaker swap. If this doesn't find the success needed, then we will be seeing mmmf just get slapped out of the playoffs, slapped out of CGL Season 14.
It'd be a tragic way to go, but they still have more chances here. A beautiful anti-nade comes through. It's just under the Genji for the time being. Now this Widow seeking an angle, but nobody overextending on the side of Squirt Squad. They're simply playing their space. And again, Solgi on this D.Va. I feel like the overextensions are just commonplace at this point. Not even fearing the Widowmaker now, as Ruby is just trying to find angles, take shots here. The payload continuing to move. Now that Dragon Blade being pulled, like you said, comes up onto the Widowmaker. Ready is going to be down soon after. The payload hasn't stopped the entire time. In 4 minutes in the bank, the D.Va has to make it to cart. It's going to be stalled out for the time being. Once again, removed from the mech. It's absolutely tragic here. They are staying alive for a little bit longer, but unfortunately that little bit has run out. They are simply just one after one trickling onto the cart. They can't do anything else. 3 minutes and 51 seconds, Squirt Squad are sending a message.
I don't remember the last time I've seen this map finish with time mega last, let alone 4 minutes of it. They've lost 9 seconds. Should they go to extra innings? That's not something you see every day. And you know, when you remember back on map 1, when these teams were going so even, so back and forth, and we were getting a bit of a small lead. You know, compare that to now, and they look like two totally different teams. I hate to say it, but this seems like a hallmark scenario of just getting tilted, right? Of letting the game get away from you, because the mental has too. Because I don't know, the play we're seeing now, the feeds that we're seeing now, just seem totally out of character for oomph.
Yeah, they seem lost, disorganized. Everybody's trying to make a hero play. And ultimately, it's just, you know, not working, right? Squirt Squad, they're very organized, they're calm in what they need to do, and, you know, it shows in their play, right? Nobody's overextending, nobody's, you know, making these crucial mistakes that are going to get punished time and again here, and it just must feel absolutely frustrating to watch the game slip away. They still have an attack, they could try to piece together some semblance, as long as they can full cap the map, anything will be possible, but they are just up against it with how massive that time bank already is from Squirt Squad, as now the fight is going to start. Nice little grapple shot, just going to be met with a shield, nothing fancy in this one, as again, both teams are simply waiting for their opening. Solgi is starting on the D.Va, but it's going to be important to not overextend. Now, this D.Va under pressure, thanks to a Sombra from Sad here. Absolutely massive hack, but the healing will be there in time. It's going to charge those support ults left, right, and center. Still knowing that the D.Va is low thanks to that Sombra passive ability here, trying to look for another opening, but the payload is actually just moving. It seems like Squirt Squad are just willing to sort of back up and hold this final corner. A bit of a bold strategy. We'll have to see how it plays out, as now Solgi, under pressure a little bit, has to come back to the team. Feels like this fight's been going on forever, but again, no limbs coming through. This first corner finally going to be contested at both teams, ready to go into it. The D.Va mech just trying to hold together for as long as it can. A beautiful hack trying to stop the Genji pressure, but Ruby hasn't found anything on this Widowmaker just yet. The angles are so impossible. You have to pretty much almost find a pick by sheer luck, and the only thing they will find picked is themselves, as finally this defense decides to get active. They find their kills, and this is going to be the first fight won for Squirt Squad.
Yeah, that it is. Great stop coming through there, and the stack was fell onto Solgi is absolutely brutal. Could have made it a little bit longer, I think, so it's small mercies that they dispatched the tank of oomph when it did, but that will bleed off in the end about half the time bank, half of it left to go. Probably have to build all their hopes around getting this EMP, right, because running no Juno means they can't match the raise.
Yeah, it's absolutely brutal now, trying to put that pressure onto the other D.Va here with these hacks, but Bride's going to be very cool, very passively healed right now, as Solgi, again, dropping low. I feel like every time I'm looking at this D.Va, the mech is low. Sat has found one onto Nuke, however, in the backline. Now charging forward with the Coalescence. They have the Genji cornered, trying to convert it into a limb. They do manage to do that, so no DPS currently alive on the side of Squirt Squad, trying to keep this Brig alive. They won't be able to here, so it seems like this attack is finally getting some momentum.
Yeah, finally got some bites in. If Zazu can live, though, Squirt Squad will be able to recontest, and they'll be able to recontest with 5 ults, arguably better ults than what will actually have. A touch will come through. Let's see how the battle goes.
We'll have to see, as it is the orbital ray invested first, keeping everybody healthy. Now invested with the Kitsune Rush, but like you said, Sad missing that EMP win button is going to be gone. Now a rally being thrown in on top is going to get the Diva D-Mech here. Solgi and being D-Mech, name a more iconic duo in this match, and after the fight is going to be all said and done after this cleanup, Squirt Squad they hold.
Yeah, it's really unfortunate there actually if Sad lives and they have a decent chance to trade ults, right? The EMP, obviously, being such an impactful tool, right? Disabling your opponent's cooldowns. Oh, what? He's just memped. He's just memped.
I think the boom, the boom may have set in.
No, yep, they're typing. They've FF'd. Do they? They're still playing.
No, I think that's just typing at this point. But yeah, I mean, whether that was a fat finger or intentional, what have you, it's something that you hate to see here. As now that Juno, or the Sombra is going to come under fire. This overclock coming out from Nuke, incredibly low, but is going to be able to stay alive until Ruby finally connects that head. But Solgi again removed from the fight. 20 seconds left in this matchup. Overtime, it has potential to be triggered. People are getting the heals through, but it's going to be a very messy final fight.
And it's going to be incredibly tricky here. A touch, I believe, can come through. They are being, of course, zoned back by Briberthina. They will have the bomb. They will have the Deadeye. Oh, the hack's good. The hack's really good, actually. Bri could be under too much scrutiny here, but the blade into the backline equally could be here. Pineapple's down.
Pineapple's down. That blade ends up coming up with nothing. Now the bomb being thrown by Solgi over the point, just trying to help create some space. mmmfghm is still alive in this one. They have a 5v4 advantage while that Genji is still on the respawn here, trying to put some pressure into the Diva mech, but it seems like this Deadeye is just going to be defense matrix for the time being. Now with an orbital ray being committed and Ruby down. They do get one on the Nuke, but they have to make sure to keep contesting this point. This overtime's been going for a bit. It's going to be tricky. The Kitsune Rush comes out, but a little bit too late to save Bustio's life. These last members of the side of mmmfghm are just stalling out for as long as they can. The Diva's the last thing standing between them and going sweet into the night, and it seems like that's going to be their fate. What started out with a roar ends with a whimper as Squirt Squad takes their victory and moves on to the grand finals.
And as you mentioned, it started so competitively, but on Shambhala, we really see why Squirt Squad are the team who deserve to make it to the grand finals of the NAGM division, right? A 4-minute time bank and a full hold. I mean, they would struggle to perform better. They could have maybe, got 30 seconds extra in the time bank if they really tried, held one extra fight, but realistically, we are very much now just nitpicking, right? They played an absolutely lights out Shambhala Monastery that's heating up as they continued all throughout this match, and as we mentioned multiple times now, repeating the scoreline of the previous.
Yeah, and it's so tragic, when you see teams, like you said, they start off so competitive, but unfortunately that is just an aspect of Overwatch, right? The mental game has to come into play at some point, and Squirt Squad had it tonight, and mmmfghm unfortunately did not. But still, all the shout-outs, all the praise, of course, has to go to Squirt Squad. They get that win. They're going to get a chance to enact their revenge against big T-Tar fan, and I think we'd love to hear some thoughts from them about that. So if you give us time, we'll throw it to a quick break. We'll set up an interview with one of their lovely players to get you all of that juicy info, and we'll be right back. All righty. Oop. Hello, hello. All right, my producer's trolling me in the background. But anyway,
Again.
we are live. We are here. We do have our interview candidate. We have Nuke from the side of Squirt Squad here for this interview. Nuke, how you doing?
I'm doing okay. That was, even though we won, it felt like I lost. So, because I feel so bad after not playing for 2 weeks.
I mean,
'Cause
hey,
we haven't played since Rivals came out, and
everyone's playing Rivals. I mean,
it's not good.
listen, to be fair, if you're saying that you haven't been playing, that was a damn fine performance, right? I mean, Ruby came into this touted as a pretty good hit scan. You didn't just go toe to toe, you absolutely were able to provide that difference. I mean, you know, like you said, if the team hasn't been playing and stuff, is that just natural synergy you guys have built up that you feel like came through today?
Yeah, we're all friends. We just all we're friends. Like we talk all the time. Like it's not like it just we go to a scrim and then we're kind of like forcing it. It's kind of like we already have it, but so it's like it's there already.
Yeah. I mean, for me, first, I want to ask. Obviously, you guys are playing a lot of Diva here today. Is that something you guys feel is more meta now in Season 14? Or is it just Bright is a fantastic Diva?
No,
You
it's
want to
just
let him
Bri.
cook?
It's just Bri. It's Diva. I think realistically, I think Orisa is stronger. I just think we're better at Diva.
Well, I really can't argue with that. I've had some success doing that myself, actually. And then also, I want to ask, obviously, this game started super close. Shambali, maybe less so. What do you say? Was that you guys heating up, them cooling down, or maybe a mixture of both?
I think it was definitely us warming up. We have I think we have multiple games where we always throw the first map. And when I say that none of us have played the game and it took us a second, before our game, we had no idea if we even had a fifth player for today. And we have never played a CGL game with KCI, our brig. So.
You did fantastically with them, I gotta say.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, just absolutely amazing. And, you know, now looking ahead into the future, you've secured your spot in that grand final. You're gonna go up against big T-Tar fan once again. They, looking at the scoreline, they kind of smacked you around the first time. While Marvel Rival seems fun, do you feel like you guys are gonna be able to put in the homework and really, you know, figure out what happened there? Or do you think it could, unfortunately, go more of the same?
Unfortunately, I'm gonna have to play the game more. And then, secondly, I think the patch also helps us because these guys can play nothing but Maga. So now that is nerfed, I think that actually helps us. Because Maga was too oppressive in the last patch, and I think it's a little bit easier to deal with.
Hey, listen, I'll agree. I'll retweet that. But it seems as though, you know, we've had our questions, we've had our fun. Now we'll give you the floor. If there's anybody you want to shout out, anything you want to say, this is your chance to do so.
PogChimp. I love PogChimp. Genji. That's PogChimp. Pineapple.
You're good. Okay, I absolutely respect it. So we'll let you go celebrate with the team. Don't celebrate with peers. Please do me a favor. Remove peers from your team. It'd be so funny. The amount of times I've seen
That's
this
a good
kid
idea.
type-
Remove him so he just doesn't get the win, but he's almost there.
Exactly. That'd be great. But
Yeah, I
we'll
like
let you
that.
go, have those chats, have those discussions, and we'll see you in that grand finals whenever it comes about.
Cool, thank you.
All right. I mean, Spec, that's a simple way to end it, huh? There's just yep, we won the game after not playing, and now we just got a grand finals on our hands.
Yeah, it's really hard to add on to that, right? Because it is just so matter of fact. They seem very confident in themselves, and you know, what a game like that. I think it's pretty fair to be. You know, I think when we're thinking about these finals now, the only discussion to have is have they been playing more rivals or have they actually been on the grind? Because if they're on the grind, I feel like it's kind of hard for any team to stop them, right? Especially if they play like this.
Yeah, I mean, looking good, looking solid, and like I said, the end of the Malgameta could be their chance at the championship, but that will have to happen on another day, unfortunately. It is going to be the end of us, at least me and Spec here, unless you're
But we're
magically
gonna
doing... Yeah, no, we're going to perish, and by that I mean the stream's going to go off for a little bit, but it's not the end of the CGL action today. There's more NA teams that want to play at 10 o'clock at night for some reason. I don't know if we have a schedule graphic. We probably don't, but it's I think it was Control versus Mental Institution.
That's
Wow, I remember the
what it was
teams.
for.
I'm impressive with myself.
very
But
nice.
but like I said, that'll happen in a couple of minutes. So make sure you stick around, earn those CGL tokens, do the best things that you can with them. And of course, I've been Megalast. This has been Spectreon. Lovely Echo producing everything. We had Headrunner, Hippie, and Mara all being observers, getting those lovely camera angles. 3
Don't love
observers.
it, though.
Nobody caught the EMP. Figure that one out. But we'll leave that all for next time. And I guess if you're sticking around, see CGL in a bit.